Hey, what's going on, Guardians? My name is TheBlackLink, and recently, even as recently as yesterday, we spent some time talking about seasonal events in Destiny, what I like about them, especially with stuff like the Dawning currently going on, and what I think could be changed and improved upon in the future. Well, that conversation yesterday kind of made me think of some other things that I'd love to see changed, and really kind of a retrospective look on the way especially repeatable content and leveling works in Destiny 2 right now. Because if you'll remember, a while back we got some interesting news before the release of Beyond Light about how Bungie was going to be approaching the process of both getting EXP to level your character and leveling up your season pass. Of course, the season pass being the thing that you get whether you are on the free track or the paid season pass track, that every time you get enough EXP to level up, you get a new reward. It's got 100 tiers and all that kind of stuff. Every game's got one of these now. And generally, getting to tier 100 doesn't take too long, but it is kind of a focused grind. If you want to get it done fast, you grab as many repeatable bounties as you can. We saw it early in the season. You head to the moon, you grab those bounties, they're giving you like triple EXP. Then they patched that, and it turns out it was just all repeatable bounties on all of the available world spaces were doing the same thing. And I find that funny. It's not that I dislike that. I like that that's an option for leveling up in Destiny. But I think Bungie has really dropped the ball when it comes to the process of gaining EXP through activities. I've said for a long time, you need to get way more experience for completing a Crucible game, way more experience for running strikes, way more experience for running raids. You get an unbelievably low amount of EXP for completing a raid, which is supposed to be the game's pinnacle tier 1 activity, and it really doesn't make much sense to me. And they said before Beyond Light dropped, in an interview or something, it might have been with Luke Smith or whatever, they talked about how right now, at least at the time of the interview, running bounties nonstop was the best way to level. And it is the fastest way to level up your season pass track. You're not really incentivized to do much else if you're trying to get to the highest tier on that possible. And that they wanted to kind of wean people away from that without invalidating doing bounties. And they said they were going to be implementing some changes in Beyond Light that would serve as kind of an alternative to leveling with bounties. Well, we're several months into Beyond Light now. Have you noticed a difference? Or is it still just the best to go and get a bunch of repeatable bounties and complete that stuff? Of course, it's option 2. Running those bounties still gets you way more experience than anything else. And for the purposes of completing the season pass, you're almost not incentivized to run anything other than those repeatable bounties. You grab as many of them as you can. If you can complete some simultaneously by grabbing them from like Zavala and the Gunsmith and all that kind of stuff, do it and just turn those bounties in, rather than just focusing on specific content. And the thing that really hammered this home for me was another looter shooter that you guys know I love to play. Tom Clancy's The Division 2. The Division 2 is a very different game from Destiny. I've always said, whereas Destiny is a shooter first with minimalized RPG elements second, The Division 2 is the opposite. It is an RPG first and foremost, and a third-person, cover shooter second. And Ubisoft and Massive really lean into that whole RPG thing. And of course, a huge part of RPGs is gaining experience. So, The Division 2 has added season pass tracks. We're on season 4 in Division 2 right now. And of course, it's got a 100 tier season pass thing with all kinds of rewards. There's exotics and stuff you can get on it. It's very much the same system that's available in Destiny 2 right now and lots of other games. But the methods for leveling this are so much better than they are in Destiny right now. And I've been playing a lot of Division 2 over the last couple of days, and it was just striking to me how much better it is to level in Division 2 than it is in Destiny right now. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. You can really kind of run whatever content you want in Division 2 to level up. First and foremost, you can change the overall difficulty of the game by raising what's called the World Tier. And the World Tier is basically what controls the level of the enemies that you encounter in missions as well as just in the open world play space. By setting this world tier higher, up from say hard to challenging or from challenging to heroic, you increase the power of the enemies that you encounter out in the world, but you also increase the amount of EXP you get from completing activities or missions or anything. And along with that, Division 2 also has a series of permanent modifiers called directives that you can turn on at any time for any content that you're running. And the more directives you have turned on, the more of an EXP boost you get. This can result in you getting way more EXP by running the hardest content on the hardest difficulty with extra directives, modifiers turned on, which can oftentimes more than double the amount of EXP that you're earning. And then you just go out and run whatever content you want. So, I hadn't played a lot of Division 2 before the last week, so I was starting out on Season 4, basically at Season Rank 1. And I was able to power level myself from Season Rank 1 all the way up to Season Rank 55, where you get a neat exotic drop in one day. One day. And I did so by setting the previous difficulty modifiers, which makes the game really difficult to play, and then just running around and completing the equivalent for Destiny 2 public events. I just went around doing resource convoys, elite patrols, and all that kind of stuff with the occasional clearing of a level 4 control point. It took me hours to get done, but it was so fun. It was so casual. I was just playing the content that I liked, that I just turned on a podcast and started grinding because there was a reward at Season Rank 55 that I wanted to get my hands on. And the Division 2 has systems in place that allow for you to grind for the things that you want by playing the hardest difficulty content. This would be like the equivalent of if Grandmaster Night Falls in Destiny 2, which I don't view as being worth it at all, certainly not until the Adept stuff drops in there, gave you tons of experience. You could just run it over and over again and get like a season pass level every time you completed it. But that's not the case in Destiny 2, and I find that to be really, really weird. I don't know why Bungie is so stingy when it comes to EXP, but it's certainly not the case in other games like Division 2. And I really just can't sing the praises of this game enough. Not only was I able to just run around and play whatever I wanted on this difficulty tier to get myself leveled up, to get the rewards that I wanted. Again, it took hours. It was hours of focused grinding, but I am fine with that when it comes to a fun game like this. I even made an entire build just to focus on grinding this way. I don't have to shoot a single shot with it. It's just I whip out a canister, light one enemy on fire, and my build is set up so that it lights everybody else on fire. It was great. But in addition to having a fantastic plethora of options when it comes to gaining experience, you can really play the game you want. If I wanted to go spam missions, I could have. The Division 2 also handles replayable content really, really well. An update or two ago, it got a new activity titled The Summit. This is basically going to be a repeatable activity akin to the Menagerie in Destiny, where basically you're going in, you're trying to get to the top of a skyscraper with 100 floors. It's repeatable. You can go in solo, you can go in matchmade, you can go in with a group, but you're basically going in and clearing every floor one by one by one by one by one until you get up to floor 100. It's a focused, in-game, solo, or group-friendly grind place where you can just kind of go test out new builds, try to get specific drops, do whatever you want. It's a great casual way to play the game after you've gotten to max level as well. If you don't really want to pay attention, again, you're watching a podcast or something, but you're trying to grind out for a new exotic SMG or something, you can just head right to the summit. And it incorporates something I've sung the praises of before when it comes to Division 2, the targeted loot system. In Division, you can actually curate what type of loot is dropping from the overworld, from specific missions, or especially in a game mode like the Summit. This is a repeatable activity where you can choose what type of rewards are favored to drop in there. So again, if you're looking for a specific SMG, you can set it so that SMGs are more likely to drop in there. If you're looking for a mask, you can set it so that masks or other pieces of armor are more likely to drop in there. This is an amazing system, and it's like a supercharged version of the Chalice of Opulence from the Menagerie, an activity that was one of my favorite in Destiny history. I believe the Menagerie never should have gone away, and instead, Bungie, expansion after expansion, should have been expanding upon the Menagerie, maybe adding in new bosses, expanding the Chalice loot pool, or at least swapping the Chalice loot pool out so you could start grinding for other things. I think that would be the perfect equivalent in Destiny 2 to the Summit in the Division, where the Summit is just this great in-game in-game option for you to just run in and grind for whatever you want with an appropriate level of challenge that you can bump up or bump down if you don't feel like sweating too much, and you get fantastic rewards. And that's something that's really missing from Destiny right now. You know, last year we got the Sundial, which was a really good repeatable activity, but it lasted all of a season and then Bungie took it away. And I really find that to be a major bummer. I don't know why there isn't this sort of repeatable activity that you can matchmake for or run in solo available in Destiny 2. I think it would really benefit from something like that, in addition to maybe being a bit less stingy when it comes to EXP. Like I said earlier, I think you should be able to reliably farm up levels on your Season Pass by playing the content that you like. If you like to play Crucible, you should be getting a significant amount of experience in Crucible. You should be getting way more experience by completing, say, a Trials card, or by resetting your Valor or completing a raid. And right now, those aren't really viable options when it comes to Destiny. If you want to power level and get as much EXP as you can so you can actually make use of the Season Pass, well, you better grab them bounties and get to work. While I think that bounties should remain a fantastic source of EXP, it shouldn't be the only source of EXP. Don't nerf bounties, Bungie. Be a little less stingy with that EXP when it comes to completing activities. That's all I'm saying. But alright, Guardians, that is it for this one. I just wanted to get some thoughts out again after playing some Division 2 and being like, whoa, leveling is way better in this. I just had to sit back and talk about it. Sorry if this video seemed a little scatterbrained. But what are your thoughts? How do you feel about the leveling experience in Destiny 2? And what kind of repeatable activity would you like to see either come back to D2, well, Destiny 2, not Division 2, or come into the game? Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. Our channel's growth is entirely dependent on you, the viewer, watching, liking, and spreading this stuff, so I really appreciate it when you do. That's it for this one. As always, I am TheBlackLink. You Guardians, stay frosty. I'm gonna head back into the summit and see if I can get my hands on the Lady Death.